And hello again. Welcome back to the stream. It's of course your host Marty Startled, and I've just done my administration for today, and now we're just going to chill out with a few more turns of Gary Grigsby, and then I'll probably play some more Easy Red 2 just to wind down after this Sunday, which I've had quite a chill time. So first thing first, let's load our saved game and see where we are. Soviets, was that it? Turn 6? Oh no, that was a different one. Let's go back. It was Russia. Was it turn 6? No, wait, it was turn 4, wasn't it? Turn 4, so, oh, ZV, that was the bad boy. Let's load that bad boy up and see where we were strategically. Let me go get me a drink as well. Oh, and you know the game has started when that over-the-top hardcore music starts playing. Okay, let me turn that down. It's a bit over. You don't need the music for this. There we are. So where were we? Okay, here's the strategic situation. Last turn, 175,000 casualties, 1,800 tanks lost. Stress supply alerts. Yellow supply, not bad. Most of it is from forts, so I can't complain too much. But for the most part, looking pretty tasty, really. And in the strength alerts, we've got some under strength units scattered along the line. But as time goes on, hopefully it's get a bit stronger. We've still got the encirclement at Minsk that's sort of holding up and delaying the Soviet advance. These will be continue to be used as to sort of take supply depots and generally be a nuisance for the Germans. And in the north, we can start seeing the tank flank beginning to occur at Pskov. Now, this concerns me a little bit because now that they've breached across the river and are beginning to threaten the flank, if I don't withdraw my units, I could see an encirclement, especially if these units are still as strong as what I believe them to be. So this is probably the turn where we begin our withdrawal to the next line of defences along the river lines, and we begin the extension of the front with hopefully more reinforcements coming to support their flank. So any more infantry that comes across will be moving to the east around this area to form a defensive line here, and this should hopefully stop any large flanking from the Germans because this is still a very open part of the territory. Down south we begin to see a breakthrough by German tanks. Hopefully, however, there is limited supply lines they can use to exploit, and you can see it's their main supply line or main road. Of course, they haven't repaired any of the roads yet. However, once they do begin to cross the rivers, they'll be able to put down more depots and pose themselves a bit of a problem. So this will probably be a turn if I cannot begin to sort of contain this line, I will be forced to begin a withdrawal. I suspect I will begin a withdrawal to this sort of sector, where I should be able to get some more supply and extend the line. This will also probably begin seeing the sort of extension of the defensive line at Smolensk, where I will begin to sort of retreat back a bit more, probably retreating this unit to form a sort of a bulge here, and this unit to retreat to form a sort of a bulge there, and then that should hopefully give me time to contain any further breakthroughs. In the south, we're starting to see attacks around the Kiev area, down in the south, which are beginning to pose a problem with that mass tanks. Now, they are quite extended from the infantry, which means I could potentially run the risk of an encirclement, but I'll be seeing what damage I can do to these fellows before I even consider it, bearing in mind that I'm still having to withdraw units back. The Romanians are beginning to move to Odessa, but the defensive line is beginning to solidify, and our combat rating for these units are beginning to go up per turn. So it means by the time the Romanians get here, there should be a rather healthy block of troops. So I'm in two veins. Either I try and hold for as long as possible here, and potentially run the risk of a sort of a divide forming out between the north and the south, or I begin to withdraw from these very healthy and strong positions. This will probably, but I'm in the vein of holding this sector, holding the marshlands and just taking immense casualties, trying to block the tank pushes, and then panicking once they do further extend their breakthroughs. Bear in mind I haven't got all my units out yet, and so it's still my interest to hold for as long as possible. The southwestern theatre, still dangerously close to the front, and in the north as well, we have a lot of airings dangerously close to the front. I probably should order them to retreat, but I have no intention of doing so until every position is being overrun. Another consideration is that now that this area is beginning to suffer from breakthroughs, I may have to begin withdrawing these troops back. However, there's not a lot of rail there, so if I do try and punch through and try and secure this rail, I'm hoping that it will have limited impact. So I may have to withdraw these units now to the Veliki Luki area, and then I may have to start withdrawing units into a split sort of line here. And then any more infantry I can get hold of will beginning to move and mobilize. I may even be tempted to move the militia now to start moving around Kalinin as well, but we will see. So just sort of general messages like the partisans are becoming active and it's turn 4. So by turn 5, turn 6, I'm hoping that the German war machine slows down, but if it doesn't, then I'm going to have to consider further withdrawals because I am running out of troops to pad the lines, which is a problem. So it is quite a hairy turn. It's a turn of either taking a further risk and trying to keep holding Pskov and knowing I will get encircled, or withdrawing from Pskov. Which in itself is quite a problem. I have to look at the combat ratings of my troops when I set them to deliberate attack and other factors that may come into play. So we got some reconnaissance, but nothing too valuable, and some ground support with our planes. So let's take a look. So if I was to try and attack these units, I would have an 8.6 on this, and if I was to attack this, I would have a 4.3. With this in reserve, you can see the mechanized are depleted, so no longer will have any combat value, and the tank is still useful. So I believe what I'm going to do is move this infantry up to secure these areas. To form that sort of solid defensive line, I will now adjust this to apply this troop to a nearby army. And I will adjust these to be applied to the nearest HQs as well. This unfortunately is a Leningrad HQ, but hey ho, it is what it is. And then let's get them off the train. So let's go to ready, off the train, off the train, off the train, and off the train. This army can move down onto this position, so it can start hopefully increasing supply, but it did nothing. And now we can think about things. So what's the combat rating on this? So these guys will swarm off me. I do have to begin withdrawals. The first thing I will do is move the tanks over to here to form a reserve line. Actually, I'm going to withdraw the tank back to this sector where it will form a reserve. Next, this HQ is going to withdraw to here, where it's going to form a new defensive position here. And we're going to have to reassign these troops. You can see that these guys are nowhere near the HQs anymore, so let's reassign them to somewhere more valuable. So we're going to withdraw this troop over here. Along with this security unit. And we're going to withdraw this troop over here as well. To form some sort of coherent line. These guys are going to go into reserve and refit because they're high priority troops and they need to be reassigned to a different front. And then indeed the return of fun, I suppose. So put this to refit, turn this to a priority free supply, and move this HQ back, preferably along an effective supply line like here. Now you can see this is a front and not an army, which is a problem because I'd rather have these attached to a corps so these guys can actually get some in good supply. But unfortunately I don't have enough HQs here, which is proving a problem. So I'm going to move this HQ up the 65th Rifles Corps to about this sector, which is probably going to run out of supply because it's too far away. And then I'm going to move up the Rifle Corps up to about here. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, there's not going to be much in a line of a coherent defense for a while. And then I'm going to move the mechanized back as far as I can get it in this turn, which I can't get very far, unfortunately. I have more troops that are depleted, so need refitting. And I have more troops that are depleted, what need refitting here as well. And then the reserve troops can withdraw over to this sector. And with that, the line has been remade. Equally, these tanks are going to move down and form a reserve tank unit here, even though they are unready, so they're going to go to refit instead. The anti-tank is going to move down to consolidate across a river line, I suspect, over here, even though these guys have also got no supplies. This infantry is going to move down to this sector. This infantry is going to refit and move over to here. And these troops are also going to move down to form a coherent line around about this sector. Indeed, Hoffman is going to be a tight one, but I have faith. Let's take a look where I can readjust troops. So that's going to be readjusted to a nearby corps. This can be readjusted to a nearby corps where possible. And that should be okay for the most part. This infantry is going to move itself down over here. And this security unit is going to move itself there as well. See, there's still quite a low supply area, so we'll have to bear this in mind. I may turn this army or this sector into a supply-free area, which it already is. And then I'm going to destroy the depot here to make sure it does not come into enemy hands. From there, we're going to take a look at any more reinforcements to see if I can apply more troops. I have a mechanized division that is ready to go and is unready actually, so this will have to be reassigned to a mechanized corps, preferably on a nearby depot. So we'll send this to a depot. I'm probably going to end up forgetting it exists, but I suppose that's where the cookie crumbles. Bad command and control here, but it is what it is. And then this corps is also going to move down to form up in this sector as well. This is going to move down to this HQ, so I'm going to move this HQ back by 1 so I don't forget where this unit is. I'm going to move it south. And reassign. And there we have another solid defensive line. The Leningrad militia, once again, is going to, any spare troops are going to start setting up in this second or third line of defences. So where's our third line? Well, this is just going to move down to this sector, so it's out of the way. I just want air command gone. It's proving a bit of a nuisance. So the next river line is this sort of weird thing here. So the next river line, this will prove our next defensive line here on these main rail hubs. With that done, we can now look at other things, like trying to prevent any further pushes on this sector. So for the most part, this is going to be readjusted. And I'm going to begin a withdrawal to Valery Luki. This tank is going to go into reserve. Or it's just going to go into refit because it can't go into reserve. This infantry is going to move up over here. And this tank is also going to go into refit because I can't use the tanks right now because they're too badly damaged. This leaves this pocket abandoned, and that means I now need to begin another withdrawal of these troops further back to this sector here. I'm going to go back to this sector because there's only one rail line going up here. And so the AI, if it tries to push through these marshlands, is going to take a lot of supply damage. Same over here, there's a supply line there. So this area is going to be no man's land for a while. The AI may attempt to push across from there, but I hope not. And therefore, as long as I maintain the rail lines, I'm hoping that, fingers crossed, it works in our favour. This has been depleted, so it's of no value. This HQ is going to fall back as well, and I'm going to hopefully reassign it to a slightly more intelligible position. So let's reassign, and hopefully it'll become yellow now. No, it's still blue. Ruh. And this HQ is going to retreat back and hopefully be adjoined to a new army because you can see it's attached to the northwestern front, which I don't really want it to be. Now it's been attached to the western front, which I also don't want it to be, but hey-ho. This leaves Smolensk in somewhat of a tricky situation, but there's not much I can do about it because of the limited manpower. I can't extend everywhere. So this mechanizer is going to withdraw back. This HQ is going to withdraw back by 1. This mechanizer is going to withdraw back across here. To become a reserve. This tank is going to withdraw back to become another reserve. And these HQs can get out as well, because they are of no value to me right now. A lot of unready units, a lot of unsupplied units. Not much I can do. It just is what it is in this situation. But the tanks are still here, which is great. That means they'll have to keep on trying to break through here, and this will buy me time. And these tanks still need to be refitted, so I'm going to assign them to the nearby cores. So wherever these cores are can be reassigned. And these tanks can move into here, move into these fortifications. So here's the big problem. The problem is this sector. You can see here they are beginning to push, and there is very limited. There's not a lot I can do to contain right now. First things first, let's assign these tanks which have been refitted, hopefully, and that means they should hopefully be useful by now, which one is. And this infantry is going to move down as well into the marshland to hopefully contain. Same with this infantry. They're all coming down to form sort of a semi-pocket or just to contain the bulge. This will be assigned to a new army because green is irrelevant to me. And this guy can stay on refit. The problem with trying to do a counter circumvent is my troops are still very weak. Like if you just look at it, I can't actually show the damage because if I move forward, I'll be in a problem. The tricky thing is I can't really do a counter circumvent here because their units are still too powerful. And I'll try and encircle, and they'll just counter encircle me, and then I'll be in a world of hurt. So it's limited in terms of what I can do at this stage. So instead, this tank is going to withdraw to reserve. Check the fatigue stat. No, this one here, 82. Oh, you want the fatigue stat up here. Bear in mind, this has only got 1 combat value, so this is not going to go well for me if I do attempt any crazy counterattacks against 14 combat value mechanized. This is not a good idea. I'm going to create a new depot here. Is this troop ready? Oh, yes, you are. And this unit. So this is being put in reserve. This tank is going to move down. Now you're unready, so that was probably a bad idea. Which one is actually useful? You're the one that's actually useful. Reserve. But the problem is if I put 1 unit back here, one of their infantry is just going to move up and delete that unit. It's like, sure, I can harass their supplies for like 1 turn, but it's just a waste of a unit, whereas I've got plenty of time to play for, and I can continue to withdraw until the rains kick in. It just seems like a waste of time to sacrifice units on these delaying tactics that just aren't going to really have much of an impact. So sure, I could, for example, here's a nice supply line there. I could send up that mechanized to try and do a rush, but as you can see, it's bad terrain there. I could try using one of the mechanized here and trying to cut around in a circle. For example, this sector. I move that there. They send 1 tank back, crush that unit. I've just lost that mechanized division. Alternatively, I commit to a large-scale counteroffensive. That tank unit pushes behind this weak line, and that's my supply completely cut off. It just is not clever at this stage. Bear in mind, a lot of my units are still unready to try and counterattack still superior equipped and superior supplied German troops. It's, for example, looks like a prime encirclement opportunity. I can cross this river. I can try and cut off their supply line there. They'll have no supply. What will happen next is they'll probably send those units up to crush it. Then they'll counter push. Next thing you know, I'm looking at a massive encirclement in the making. Because all I have here is this rail line. I just don't think it's a good idea to waste troops on counteroffensives right now. It's still early game, it's only turn 4. I've got plenty of time to keep on withdrawing back. And I don't know when I'll get more troops back, to solidify the front. I'd rather just keep playing a delaying tactic and keeping my troops intact so I can actually fill out the line. Once I can fill out the line, I will start thinking about sort of YOLO tactics. But until then, I have very limited intention to engage offensive operations. You can see there's still big gaps in the line here. There's big gaps in the line forming here. My main effort right now is to get more troops to reinforce and have a coherent line, because this is dangerous. All it takes is infantry to start wading through, and I'll have no troops to hold that. I'll have some troops here, but it's just it's a catastrophe waiting to happen. I don't want them to push in Kalinin, and I don't want to waste troops. This is a catastrophe waiting to happen if I decide to advance. So we look at the reinforcements. Turn 4, turn 4. So I should be getting these guys coming soon, but better safe than sorry. I've got time. As the Soviets, I've got time. The Germans do not. So I've got a lot of troops coming this turn. And then turn 5, I've got more troops, and a load of troops turn 7. So I can just wait. I can wait. I can wait and retard. I can slow down and just let them waste their combat value on stronger positions. You can see here, a lot of the troops on this line just aren't ready. It's a fake line. It's not a coherent line. It's a trick line for boys. It's not a good line. So Smolensk, the battle for Smolensk continues, and we're doing okay for now. The delay tactic is working. I'm going to send more ready troops in to reinforce this sector. So this troop's going to move out, go into refit, and then that tank's going to move in and act as a reserve as well. This is going to go to refit. This is going to go to refit. And these guys are going to go to refit. All unready troops are going to go to refit. However, I think I can only hold for one more turn before the sheer damage done by these tanks are enough to collapse me. As you can see, they've still got 17 combat value. I could try and counterattack with my troops, but it's not optimum at the moment to do so. Like, I could do a deliberate attack here as an attack of opportunity. This will waste my combat value, and that means they will be able to counterattack with their better equipped units. Whereas if I just hold, that tank is either have to go round to attack something weaker, or it will have to attack a higher combat value and a higher preparedness than if I had attacked myself. Sure, I could be grinding victories right now to get guards units, but it's not necessary at this stage, and I've got time to play with, especially Smolensk. I think Smolensk should have fallen by now. Let's take a look at the historical guide when Smolensk fell. Smolensk fell in July 16. So it should have fallen this week, well, next week, but it's not going to because of the time I spent on solidifying my lines. This is the main threat, the two big threats right now. This threat has been completely emasculated now. This is no longer too much of an issue. Here, they'll push to take Pskov. They'll advance, and I'll form a second defensive line, and this is healthy. This is a dangerous line because if they are willing to go and try and cross, or go through the woodlands, I won't have any troops to counter, and so I am tempted to start moving troops forward with my Moscow militia just to pad up the line, and so that's what I'm going to do now. The Moscow militia are going to be used as cannon fodder to solidify that left flank. They will not go in the woods. Are you willing to bet Moscow on it? Are you willing to bet Moscow on it? I'm not willing to bet Moscow on it. Yeah, you're right. They won't go into it yet, but they will eventually, and that's why I want some dug-in defended units prepared with the supply line set up. So if I move them early, I'll be able to see, okay, these guys don't have any supply. Let me put a depot here, and that will give me time to adjust my lines and create something effective. Whereas if I just start moving last second, I'll have troops that don't have a high combat readiness. They will probably have supply issues because I don't know what the supply situation will be here, and I will end up basically on the back foot, whereas if I have it prepared ahead of time, I will have something of value, and worst case scenario, any more reinforcements that come can pad out the rest of the line. So that's why you're seeing what you're seeing. I need a new core or a new HQ somewhere. Where's my HQ? I've got to have a spare HQ somewhere. You're going to go up here. I think rifle cores get replaced after next turn, so this is going to be a waste of time, but hey ho, it is what it is. They get replaced, I think, turn 6, so that'll be something to consider. In the south, I have formed a loose containment troop, but nothing really of value. And these troops are now mostly ready and refitted, so which is great for me. These tanks are going to move up to the north to contain. Or this mechanized will move up to the north to contain. Now this looks promising if the infantry overcommits, but we will see. And the 10th Army can move back up here. These HQs are just a bit of a nuisance, I don't really care about them. So what to do next? So this sector is pretty vulnerable. I still need to put troops in this marshland, but that will prove a problem in terms of supply. Do I have an army on this? I do. Where's the southwest front? Where are you placed? You're going to retreat back to Kiev. You're going to retreat out of Kiev now. I don't need that there anymore. I have a lot of troops on the south, a lot of troops attached to the southwest front. I don't want them to be. These guys are unready, so we'll switch them to refit and move the armor up north. The anti-tank can just plunk itself here. I'll keep one tank here, just in case. And this unready tank can be moved up north as well. Anything else for me? I've got an infantry unit, which is great. This infantry unit is going to move down and maintain a line there. The 4th Army can move up north. Where it will do absolutely nothing. I've got a lot of good tanks here, but I don't really want to overcommit them yet. They're going north. They're going north. The bulge is where it's important to contain right now. And the infantry can just plonk its sweet ass over here and be reassigned somewhere nearby. There we are. 1st Rifle Corps. I don't really care about you. Don't really care about any of you, but I'm going to move you back anyway because you're in the way. This is lazy micro. I should move these guys back, but I can't be bothered. Now here's the sticking point. So what we have here is an overextended panzer unit, which is actually under supply. So if we attack this, we can push it back. We can also probably try and do a cheeky encirclement attempt. We can't because we'd have to cross the river. This needs to be refitted, so we'll move this guy up north. This panzer unit is going to move down south. Oh, this mechanized unit is going to move down south to assist in this defensive line. We're going to withdraw this troop back, actually. It makes more sense to withdraw back across the river line than over-engage in defensive attempts. Same here, this troop is going to move down. This headquarters is going to move back. And we're going to readjust the line. These guys need to get reattached to somewhere more useful because you can see they're overextended now and have now value. Reserve, unready, so you're a complete liability. This is depleted, so you're a complete liability. You can retreat back. The Mountaineers are ready, so you're going to move up here. And we're going to retreat back a little bit up to the next stream. And we will do another reserve attempt here. Unready, get resupplied, Mr. Anti-Tank, and retreat back. Unready, refit, retreat back. I think rail uses points, and I don't want to use my points on the rail just yet. I'd rather use the movement points for rail for units like over here, which I need to move closer to the front as quickly as possible. Whereas I don't really need to use rail for a one-turn movement, which doesn't seem, it seems a bit of a waste of time. Sure, I could do a rail movement and not be able to do it because I'm too close to the enemy line, but using rail this close is not necessary, especially because it's open plains. It shouldn't do too much readiness damage, and so that's why I'm not using rail as of yet. This infantry unit is ready, but it's got no combat preparedness, so bear that in mind. And the Mountaineer is being withdrawn back. So in the space of 4 turns, we have withdrawn and we have maintained a somewhat effective defensive line. At the same time, these troops are going to start running over. So this is where I'd be potentially using rail, because it's going to take me like 3 turns to get these guys anywhere. So I'm going to move them to the rail line. And even then, I'd be tempted not to use rail because of only infantry. So the Romanians are beginning to push. Most of my guys are out, and now I'm more or less ready to continue on the operation. Kiev still stands, which is nice. I'm just going to get these guys out of the way. They're going to get hopefully broken down in the next couple of turns. And then turn 6 is where we find out what HQs you've got left. Let's get these guys out of the marshes. So, next step in the master plan. Switch these guys to refit. So, 9th Army, Southern Front needs to be priority 3 because this needs to hold. So, you're going to be priority 3, Southern Front. The Red Army, hot. You can be priority 3 as well. In fact, let's just give all these guys priority 3 because everywhere is as important as nowhere. So everywhere is being priority 3 on the Western Front. That means everyone's going to be as equally out of supply. Yep, I do. I do have some tanks and swamps. But I'm hoping that this works in my favour because I'll be defending the swamps and they'll be attacking the swamps. I'm not really sure how well that will work, but I suppose we will find out. Next step is I need to continue building defences at Leningrad. So I'm going to build another fortification. Actually, first things first, let's take a look at our supplies. Let's take a look at our supplies. Do I need to put a depot elsewhere? So we've got a depot here that should feed most of this army. I should probably put a depot here for when we lose Smolensk, so let's put a depot here. And that's a garbage depot, that's not going to provide much supply. And let me see, we've got a depot here. And a port there, which will provide us a nice healthy dose of water. Supply from there as well. So this guy can move back now, and this guy can go in reserve. This guy can move over. This guy can move over. There we are. Do a depot under Kiev. Yeah, it's a good idea. So there's Kiev, and I've got one depot, but I should probably put a... If I put a depot... I've got a depot there. If they retreat... Where's my main rail hubs? This is my main rail hub. Let me turn this off a second. Do I have a big rail hub up north? I do. Let's put a depot there as well. He says, I've actually run out of... Oh no, I haven't. There we are. No, that should work. I'm going to put a depot... This is going to get overrun. There's no point putting a depot there. This is going to get overrun. I'm going to put a depot here instead. Next, AI managed depots. Build a unit. And continue our fortifications. Yeah, I played a lot of it over the holidays, so I'm a bit of a boff now. So what I'm tempted to do is waste a turn building a fortification line here so they can't cross into Smolensk. Alternatively, I could build a fortification line here and make Sevastopol a bit of a tough nut to crack. So what I'm probably going to do is not form a defensive line here and just keep fortifications there and begin continuing to fortify Smolensk. Not Smolensk. Leningrad. No, I didn't want to do that. I have a depot here. Let's remove that depot. Very upset by that. There we are. Yeah, fortifications blocked for me. I think you're right. I think we should begin mass fortifying here. So next turn we'll build another fortification there and then start building fortifications around Moscow because I think Leningrad's pretty healthy at this stage. See if I can build another depot thing. I can't, so we've got to build another depot. Not another depot, build another fortification line. Let's turn this into fortified hell. So if they push, they're going to push back to next tile. And they push, they're going to push back to next tile. So we can hold on to this indefinitely, hopefully. Or they've got to really break it before they can do anything of value. Have I got any reserves here? Any reserves for me? Any reserves? None. And I get this infantry unit out. This infantry unit has to go. 2 HQs, which will maybe prove useful. I'll withdraw these guys back. Yeah, so if I can hold Sevastopol, that can prove a massive opportunity for further engagements. But my administration points are really badly limited right now. First by the fact I need new officers, because my officers are pretty garbage at this stage, but that costs administration points to sack them. Then I need administration points to build depots, which takes time. Administration points to press this button to auto-manage the depots. And then I need administration points to build fortifications. I also need administration points to build units, and so we're getting a big combination of shite, basically. Build one of these, why not? Anyway, as things go, we're not doing too bad. Odessa will fall, but hey ho. So we're going to send this sacrificial lamb up to bully and capture that depot. We're going to send these guys up to hopefully capture another depot and fail dismally. And see if I can find where their rail units are, which I can't see any rail units. What a shame. I wonder where the FBD units are. To Vanoya. Oh, there's Navonia. Over here. Oh, here. This ain't gonna work because there's someone blocking it and these guys have no... Oh, these guys have some supply. It's just that they're all painfully unready. And now I've moved them, so this has been a bit of a waste of time. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Yeah, because of that zone of control, that was bad. Yeah, the zone of control prevents me because these are all painfully weak. They can't do anything. This was a sort of opportunistic counterattacks and attacks and things like that. So what can happen here is the Germans could try and break through here and encircle this force, which will mean that I am going to be in a bad spot. And so I'm going to move down another unit to contain. Or they could try and breach this area here to the south. Yeah, I just do the air assist and let the AI do the air stuff. But that's a lot of marshland, and that's very risky for them to even attempt to do something like this. So we'll have to bear that in mind, that potentially it's not something the AI would be tempted to do. Yeah, I could do air interdiction. I could do that. For now, this is what it is. So these units for the southern front, you're going to be priority medium. This place Kiev will fall eventually. It's just a matter of time. Let's take a look at Kiev. When does Kiev historically fall? July 19th, is that it? August 25th? August 19th. Okay, so I've still got 1 month to hold on to Kiev. Oh, the AI normally automatically does close their support, so I don't have to worry about that. You can be reassigned. So can you. You can join the Airborne Corps, which basically means you're going to be fucking absolutely useless. So what I should be doing is I should be organising my mechanized. I'm no good mechanized commander, but I haven't got the time nor the inclination to just rearrange my mechanized and adjust it to form counter-offensive at this stage. I'll wait till it gets to October or winter when the Germans calm down a bit, and then I'll think, okay, where can I push? I will begin operations. I want to do big pushes in the south and knock out the Romanians, because if I can knock out the Romanians, then it's a GG win. And as you can see, a lot of my forces are in the south, so this will prove a nice, comfortable position for a counterattack. And these areas are really just going to be holding actions until further notice. Anyway, let's take a look at our info screen. How's things working out? Manpower's going up. Guns are going down a bit. Armoured vehicles are going down. Aircraft's going back up. Manpower losses are slowly going down. Gun losses beginning to deteriorate. Armoured vehicle losses are sky high because of the constant battles and encirclements and counter-encirclements. Aircraft's getting better. Everything's getting better. Next thing, what I want to do is I want to go to my commander's report, and I want to go to my headquarters and go to my fronts. Then I want to give all of these a support level of 9, even though it's a bit lazy. I should be doing it micro. I should be doing more micro here. So I shouldn't have Ark's Ancient Military District here. So that should be on priority 1, really. So we're going to change that to a supply of 1, or a support unit of 1. Kharkov Military District, you're going to go down to 1. Leningrad Front. Is that Orel? Can't tell. The font's too small. The front is too small. The font is too small, not the front. I'm going to hope... Oh, that's Southern Front. There you go. Whoa, 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 whoa. No. There we are. 1. The Transkoskus Front. You don't need anything there, son. There we are. That should make things a bit easier for us. Whoa, naughty. And that over time will mean that these guys should get more support units. Anyway, not much else we can do this turn. We just got to accept the situation now and see what happens. Good, we're getting a lot of supply delivered, which is nice. Still, I could have risked holding Sykov for 1 more turn, but you can see he's only going to get 1 extra bonus point from that, so I've done more than enough. Same with Smolensk, I've done more than enough to hold Smolensk for the foreseeable future. It's Kiev that I need to hold for a bit longer, and then I can start beginning gradual withdrawals back away from the front. However, in the south, we've already given up Odessa, but that will take them a while to take. But they will take it ahead of time because I have no troops in there anymore, apart from that fortress. But I'm going to lose points now to save points later. If you get my general idea. Equally, the longer I hold that Smolensk rail line, the harder it's going to be for these German logistics. Because that sort of, if you look closely, going from Riga to Smolensk and south is a big old rail line or a big old square like of major rail. where if you take all of that rather quickly and repair it, the Germans can have a nice base of supply. So if you retard that by holding Smolensk and holding that sort of triangular pivot, you can more or less deprive the Germans of the necessary supply they'll need in moving on from turn 6. However, it'll get to the later game because I'm used to playing as Germany. We have some very good units, but less of them, and you go for these big encirclements. But I suspect the Soviet playstyle will just be constantly throwing troops in to make these big attacks, which aren't going to do a lot of damage by themselves, but over time will push the Germans back. Sort of meat grinder tactics. Don't need to just bomb every day. But that means I've got to do extra micro to bombing. I don't want to give bombing orders. I'm a hoi 4 boy. I just want to give a mission and let the AI do it all for me. I don't want to play the game. Okay, first step in their master plan was closing the pocket. It was nice knowing you. You've done more than enough to hold for turn 5. I only want to do my micro. The micro I want to do. I want to do lazy micro. We are forming concentrated clumps, but which on paper look good, but in reality is pretty garbage. Yeah, that's a tank counterattack I was worried about. That's why I've made that second defensive line, because to stop them just yeeting all the way through. I can't see further south, game. Let me see further south, please. Game, please. There we are. Yep. The bulge in the centre is beginning to widen ever more and more. That's a bad bulge. This looks tasty. Look at that concentrated armor. But, and the big but is there's a big old purple wall of troops behind it. So if I try and encircle it and not crush it in one turn, I'm just going to get counter encircled. However, you can see the German troops are beginning to get separated from the Romanian troops. And this gives a lot of opportunity for me. So what I could do is a diverged. While they're trying to take Kiev, I bully the Romanians for a bit. And that may scare the Germans into diverting tank assets back down south. German attacks are slowing down, which are good. This is what we wanted to do, to slow down the rapid advance. Or they continue to bully south of Kiev. You can bully down south of Kiev all you want. Ain't no fang. I'm just eyeing those delicious Romanians. So we have lost 100,000 men. This is acceptable losses for the Soviet Union. We have 53 tanks, not the end of the world, 78 planes. Order of battle changes, minus 1,410 artillery, minus 203, going to theatre, in transfer, access total. Okay. More men, less guns, less tanks. Supply's not bad, just a few ambers. Strength's getting bad. Let's take a look at the logistics. This is basically just them capturing stuff in Finland out of my hands. The Germans have got garrison shorters in Western Europe, and Churchill's doing stuff. So, any new troops for me? Any new troops you want to give me? Another Moscow militia unit. Any spare troops down here I could feast my eyes on? Any cannon fodder? Any cannon fodder? Any troops for me? Where the hell are my reinforcements? I know I get more by turn 6, but still. I should be getting more troops than this. I demand more troops. Oh, I got some more troops there. Anyway. AI, take the wheel. Once I've assigned them to my fronts, I just let them do their thing. Just do your thing. Okay, that's entertaining. What have we got? Ground support. Ground support, ground support recon, ground support, ground support, ground support recon. Let's take a look at the damage. I have a tank unit that has got 27 strength. I have this unit that has no supply and is pretty much hot garbage. I need a new supply depot down here. I have a tank unit that needs fixing as well. I was going to move troops to contain again. Let's buy time. It's marshland. The more they attack here, the more garbage their equipment will be. Move back to depleted units. This has got a combat value of 8. These have got combat values of 5, 1, 1, 2, 5. So if I... Are you of any value? No, you're still pretty much garbage. Why you got a command structure down there? Reassign yourself, you silly goose. Why have I got blues here? Armor's going to withdraw back onto the rails. That motorized hot garbage, but it's good for flanking, so we'll keep that in our back pocket. These guys have no supply. Get me someone with supply. Overseas supply in this sector. Again, nothing. Not a thing. Give me something, boys. Give me something. Turn this into a 44 depot. I should abandon this sector. I should abandon it. I should withdraw to the next step in the line, which should be about here. Oh, I got 2 tank units here. I didn't even know. I got 1 tank unit. That was a lie. Move into reserve. Move into reserve. You're still pretty much broken, so you have no value. You need to go back northwest front, preferably over here. Oh my god, why have I got so many troops attached to the northwest front? Rifle Corps, sort this out. You do not belong to the northwest front, sort that out. These guys are going to withdraw. We'll draw across here and just... No, that's not a good idea. Let's fortify this. I can't because it's got a security unit on it. So, the garbage security unit, you're off. Let's go back from that. The other garbage security unit, this one. Off you get. build me a fortified unit. You're in reserve, so if the panzers try and attack, you should be fine. Leningrad is almost in combat range. Let's move that HQ out. I can't do that. Let's build another fort there. There we are, a load of forts, and let's turn this port into a level 4 export so I get more supply in that sector. This infantry is going to start moving up even more per turn. First Army. Another supply depot here. This Moscow unit, they'll deploy over here. And you can get off the train, and you can get off the train. And we're going to fortify here as well. This infantry is depleted and therefore holds no value. So you're going to withdraw back. And these guys are going to withdraw further back as well. Down to Valery Luki. There we are. And this corps can move up here. You all can get reassigned now. Oh, I got it. One by one, that's tedious. So, any opportunities? Not really, not yet. Let's get these HQs off this objective. Resign. Can't do that yet. Let's fortify this. And then let's withdraw the tanks. Let's put you in reserve. Reassign this. There's a lot of tanks here I don't need. You can be reassigned as well. There you are. Blue team. Okay. That's infantry is disgusting. I can't touch that infantry. We are looking at disaster here. Water mounted depots. See if I can build a fortification there again. Build a fortification there. That fortification is still held. These guys, any of you guys unready? No, but that tank is on the front line when it should be on reserve, so that's going to come out. That's going to go into reserve, and this tank is going to go, and this infantry unit is going to move in here instead. Same with this. Reserve. You ready? You're ready, you can get back in there. And then we can take a look at the damage down here. Nice, nice, that's good, that's good. A Panzer division I can attack. Well, not, for some reason. No, doesn't like that for some reason. No, it doesn't like that in the slightest. Okay, let's try the infantry instead. No, that's not a good idea. Let's think about this for a moment. The front's been pushed here. I have infantry moving forward to resupply the system. And I have vulnerable tanks in this sector. This is a combat value of 1 and it's not ready. This is completely unready. I say fall back and readjust the line. That's what I think. Let's fall back again and readjust the line. And just turn this into a grind. I've got a lot of tank units that are completely unready in this sector. How about you? Are you ready yet? Yeah, you're ready. I should have infantry units that are now beginning to gradually become ready as well. I'm going to shift them. Shift this unit up here because it's going to get broken through. and reassign it to a new unit. The mechanized division. It's still unready. You've got no value to me while you're unready. And this tank unit is in reserve now, so it can be of use. I say we withdraw again across this line. Just a little bit. And buy more time for ourselves. You're of no value to me when you're unready. Build a new depot here. Destroy this depot. And move this soldier. Are you ready? Yeah, you're ready. Move this guy up here. These guys can fall back a bit. And this mechanized, are you any good? No, you're not, because you've probably been not put on a depot. A lot of tank units are not ready. Build another fort here. Actually, we're going to make sure we build at least one infantry division. There we are. And let's build another fort here. There we are. How about you? Are you feeling pretty positive? We'll move infantry up north. And there we go. Another line reformed. Still pretty weak here, but c'est la vie is what it is. C'est la vie. You're ready, but you're too far away to be of any good to me. Then this leads us back down south, though, where the big tank pushes are occurring. A combat value of 26, so I stand no chance of blocking that. And more tanks that are painfully unready. Infantry units are depleted. More unready tanks. This tank is good. This is going to go up into reserve in the north. So is this mechanized. Really, any spare troops that I can use, any mechanized troops I can use. I'm going to go up here to contain. Yeah, there's a button on the right. Button on the right. There we are. So we're shifting troops over, but it's having limited success right now. You still have some very vulnerable areas of the line, but we have opportunity down in the south. An opportunity to do some bullying. Excuse me, why can't I do a deliberate attack? There we are. Why can't I do a deliberate attack? Something I'll have to pay attention to in future. Anyway, more tank resources are going to the north to contain in what is going to be a rather large-scale tank battle in the north by Kiev. Do I have to cross? I don't really want to cross. I don't really want to cross because I like this defensive line. This defensive line is comfortable. It reminds me of home. This defensive line is love. It is life. This tank has got no supply. Why has this tank got no supply? I suspect because... I'm a pee-pee poo-poo head. Let's put a depot down here. I don't think I can build a new depot. Come on. Ah, oh, screw you. Screw you, game. Anyway, where's the rest of my troops? You're going to keep on walking your way to glory. That's right, you march. I'm going to reassign you to a different corps anyway, so there's no need to bring a HQ up here. You sure you haven't got any Trans-Siberian troops like we're going to mass spawn over there? No? Copium, maximum copium. The Trans-Siberian troops are coming, guys. Excuse me. Why have you got such a massive supply depot storage up here? You're going to go down to a sweet 0. Time to do some depoting. Oh, spare infantry division, I'll take that. You know, you thought you were going to hide out at Kazan, did you? Well, you got another thing coming, old boy. Blood for the Stalin God. That's right, 18th Rifle Division, there's no hope for you. This is also why I don't tend to use rail. It takes ages. There we are. You can stand on this, I don't care. The Volga Air Command. Stalingrad, I'm going to put that depot to 0. Zero. You get nothing. Kursk, 0. Well, you're actually going to be set to priority 1 just in case things do go tits up. Mm-hmm. Not enough admin points. Bruh. Feels bad, man. Spare troops in here for me? Nope. Okay. We'll end this turn, see what the Germans do, and then we'll end this and let's play some easy raid again. This is a casual game before I finish for the day, but we'll just see where we are in the grander scheme of things. So I've only done like 2 turns, but you get the general idea. It's only been an hour and 30 minutes. So we are beginning to form something that looks like a coherent line. However, the panzers are beginning to punch through Pskov, and are beginning to punch up to Leningrad, which is a bit of a problem, I'll be honest, but no frontline depots, please. But that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. I'm going to also build a couple more labour groups. I can't because it costs 1 AP and that is something I don't have. Bruh. We won't be doing that. And these guys are going to retreat back, and then that will be most of the Tallinn line retreated. So, considerations right now. Keep on delaying at Leningrad. Eventually I'm going to have to commit most of these troops at Leningrad just to survive and become basically human sacrifices for the greater good. But once that occurs, it's going to be a rather long and unpleasant engagement as I try and constantly delay these panzers. They'll begin to start pushing into Valery-Luki and this northern part, which is going to gradually become an also equally as bad grind, and eventually this war is going to turn into like a Moscow pivot, which is not optimum, but hey ho. Equally, I do have to take into consideration that I've got to fortify Leningrad, and then if this goes horribly wrong, start fortifying Moscow as well. And so it's going to be a toss-up between how much do I invest in Leningrad and how much I invest in Moscow in terms of administration points. This bulge continues to give me nightmares, but we are withdrawing in good order. However, we do have units that are not prepared for engagement, as you can see here, which need to be withdrawn back as well. I don't want to do that, but okay. And so these guys are going to withdraw back to this depot. Whoa, were you ready? I think you were. Oh no, you weren't. You run back over here. Refit, refit, refit. But this is going to be a problem because this bulge is going to continue to widen. And I've got troops that can't do anything. I need to commit a soldier to this line. You're going to get committed. Cancel that. None of these tanks are any good to me. Probably shouldn't have those tanks in these marshes. You know what? These tanks are going north. Tanks on marshes was never a particularly intelligent thing to do in the first place. Reassign you. And see if I can do anything with these tanks. 13.9, no, but it's still going to be a costly battle on their part to fight it. Bearing in mind I've got the majority of my tanks here in preparation for what's going to be a rather large battle. we've still got 1 month to hold this, and I don't think we're going to be able to pull it off. If I'm honest, I think Kiev's going to fall earlier than anticipated. Yeah, they took it. When did they take it? They took it September 19th, 41. Yeah, I'm not going to hold that till September. Or August 25th. Yeah, we're not going to hold that for another 4 weeks. That's not possible. Not unless their supply just dies. At the same time, I want to do some cheeky stuff here. Potentially movies for encirclement opportunities, but we will see. We will see. Because I've got a lot of tanks concentrated down here, just ready to beat up some poor Romanians that try and overextend too quickly. Anyway, enough talking and then prolonging the inevitable. Let's see what the damage is going to be. Oh, spare tank. Not spare tank. It basically the last remains of my troops. No spare troops at all. Are you sure about that? Ah, here we are. You can go to refit. These tanks are going to be pushed on down to this sector. And let's see what happens. Keep feeding me supplies. July, August, September, October. So I still have August, September. I've still got 2 months before the rains come. 2 months, 4 weeks and a month, about 8 turns. 8 turns to delay the Germans. But this is turn 6, so hopefully this is where I get a dump of troops for me. What we got? Unless the game's just going to be like, no, only the AI gets all these troops, lol, 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 and then I'll cry. The rains are good. I got some rain in July. This is nice, but it's not the Drazina, so that's not going to be too useful just yet. I see a lot of red supply units in the southeast at Kiev. This does not give me warm fuzzy feelings. I think it's because I deleted the depot there. Hmm. We held. We held that turn, that's good. Big engagements in the south at Smolensk. Smolensk holds one more turn. I would like to thank Hoi 4 for the fort spam meta that the game taught me. Why be good at the game when you can just spam fortifications? We imagine knowing this shit. That's right. That's right, boys. You ain't getting anywhere near Smolensk today. We don't take kindly to you sausage eaters around these parts. Oh god. Oh god. They're going for it. You can't do this to me. I like that. I like that. Just that wall just stopped at Smolensk. Don't like this too much. I'm going to counter this. I'm going to take a risk here and counter this. The Romanians are coming into play. Holding Smolensk, breaking at Kiev. Okay. And they've taken Odessa because I had no troops in it, but hey ho. Hey ho. Is no problem, comrade. I'm quietly confident this is a turn in our favour. Even though Kiev is a bit ooh, ah, you know what I mean? Kiev's a little bit bruh. But it's not the end of the world. I can withdraw. I can withdraw to the next river line, but then that leaves a gaping hole in the centre there. I have to take consideration to that. That's right, supply my units. There we are. So we have lost 76,000 men, which is actually normally below average, which is good. We've lost 751 tanks. Oi, oi, and our Germans have lost 742. Oh, yeah. Let's take a look. How many armored vehicles have the Germans lost? So this is the largest amount of German vehicles they have lost in the second to largest in the war. Manpower losses 19,000. That's very high for this period of time. Normally it's around 15,000 or 16,000 level. 19,000 is above average, and we're below average on our casualty level, which is great. So strategic situation in the north. Let's turn this off first. We have held for one more turn in the north at Leningrad. Valery Luki is still held, and we're beginning to move the Moscow infantry divisions up to form a thin veneer of defence along this forest, which will hopefully allow us to do some sort of counter-attacking into their supply lines as the game goes on. In the south, our troops have held, and we have effectively prevented the Germans pushing into Smolensk again. However, further south, we're beginning to see the opening up of lines here, which means that if these guys aren't ready, we won't be able to do anything about it. So this is going to eventually lead to a curving of our flanks, which is not good. So we're going to have to withdraw again behind this line and further up, leading to this sort of split divide, which is not going to be very good. I'm going to put a depot here to allow supply to come through. I already have a depot there. I'm going to put an army unit in there to feed, because my supplies aren't the best right now. 51% supply, which is pretty bad. Oh, what's going on here? What do you mean there's a problem with... There's no problem. You know what? This is fine. It's not. There we go. Further south, Kiev continues to exist, just about, but we are beginning to see the impacts of German panzer strikes as they continue to push further south. It looks like they attacked here and then they readjusted their lines further south to try and punch through a softer part of the line. You can see the German panzers. And even further south, we've lost Odessa, but we've maintained our front in the south here. This means things are still looking pretty good in this sector at Kiev, although we have lost a considerably large amount of tanks and general equipment. But altogether, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's here. Here is the big problem, because you see this rail line and this rail line. I'll have to withdraw to these two rail lines, and that's going to extend our line massively. And so we're going to have to try and withdraw again back behind this river line to sort of slow down the German advance. However, I do think the Germans are getting worn down here. You saw just how badly they tried to smash Smolensk, but they just weren't able to pull it off. Have I got any more troops? I thought I was supposed to get more troops by now. Turn 6, these troops should be coming in. Do they come in after the turn or what? What is this? Go away. Stop. What's going on here? This action does not have my consent. Stop. If I turn you off and turn you back on, will you... No. If I go to map info, will you go away? If I just pretend you don't exist and go over here, yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to pretend you don't exist. I thought I was going to get a lot more infantry reserves coming up, but it doesn't appear that any have sort of turned up. Oh, apparently they've arrived, but I just don't know where they are. Well, you're on Soviet reserves, so that's a lie. What do I do with you? I don't know what I do with you. Look, I'm just let you do your thing. I'm going to pretend you've got value. I'm going to go back over here. And we'll never discuss what that is over here again. I want these troops, but I don't know what they are. Oh, okay, there you are. I see now. So, if I go to this, and then click on these coordinates, I get a HQ, that's great. Yay, HQ, that's a great value to me. AG unit, reserve front, army unit. You got me a cavalry division. You got me a cavalry division to the south. Fucking wonderful. Great. You sure you don't want to give me more men, theatre box AI? You sure that's not a good idea? I would give me more men, theatre box AI. Anyway, our strategic preference for next turn will be to maintain our defensive line, probably withdraw these guys back a little bit against the troops here. Continue to consolidate our defensive lines around Pola, and continue to maintain our defensive lines here. I think I've already built a fortification there, so that should be fine. These guys should be ready in reserve status, and Smolensk should just continue to hold. We'll just keep on readjusting the lines there. These troops are going to have to withdraw up to Smolensk, and these troops are going to have to withdraw south. This will mean that the Smolensk front is going to widen, which means that this front is going to get weaker, which means that we're going to have a problem here. Alternatively, we could do big boy strat and try a counter-encirclement with pushing this infantry in and attempting to challenge their flanks by either moving a troop over here as a sacrificial lamb and then moving a troop over there. But these guys will just delete it, so there's no real point in doing so. So that's not a good idea. Really, for now, it looks like because they've crossed the next line, we should withdraw to the next line here and the next line here, and let's build one more fort, or two more forts, and withdraw this infantry up, and just form another line as our bulge gets bigger and bigger and bigger. We get big boy bulges. And down the south, it may be a case of beginning to withdraw to the next Kiev line. But of course, what I don't really want to do that, because if I withdraw and start forming a new line, I'm going to give up a lot of territory and end up giving up Sevastopol as well. So I want to maintain this position for as long as possible, even if it does cut into my lines. So I can keep the front narrow, because once this breaks through, I'm going to have to do a mass retreat to the next Donetsk line, which I don't want to do. And are these German troops? I don't know. Anyway, objectives for this next term will be to hold this sector, maybe do some limited engagements with the Romanians, see if I can shuffle troops around if possible for another defense at the Dnieper. If not, then withdraw them and form another pseudo-defensive line here before I get forced to begin withdrawing again. And the turn after will be to... and next turn will also be to form a defensive line here as well. Any spare troops will be advancing. The north is looking better. And the centre, I'm very happy with the results in Smolensk, because you could just see they were just throwing troops out at me, and they couldn't touch me, which was great. But this will have to go eventually. It's just a matter of time before the masses of German troops begin to cause problems. However, until then, we're doing a very good job at halting the German logistics supply train, because Smolensk is an extremely important supply hub, because this rail line feeds the assault from the north towards Smolensk, towards Moscow, and it also feeds the next push-off point down into the other capture points, which are... Why are my capture points not showing? There. Into Tula and Tambov, which will be a nightmare for them if they don't push that. And then this sector is quite important because we're going to end up being a divided troop if we don't do anything to stop this. And do I have any army groups here to pad this up? Yes, I got the 43rd Army to get more supplies in. But all things considered, we're doing a pretty good job. Kiev is going to fall early. It's just going to fall early. Unless the Germans run out of steam, which I don't think they're going to do in the south, because of all those sweet, sweet tanks they have. And the centre is going to continue to be a problem. So any fresh troops, any fresh reserves we get, we're going to keep on ploughing them into the centre to continue to slow down the German war machine in this sector. However, I'm hoping that because of the terrain and that, they begin to suffer from a large amount of supply issues. Equally, I don't have any issue. I don't run the risk of too harsh an encirclement here because of bad marshalling, and the fact is they haven't got a lot of supply anymore. But it's still a fact to consider that really altogether we're not doing too badly. So historically, if we take a look at when we historically lost territory, this was lost on July 13th, 1941. We held Pskov for longer than that. Smolensk was taken on the July 16th, 1941. It's now July 27th, so we've held ahead of historical standards. This was taken July 17th, so we're holding the north longer than historical standards, but we are giving up the south quicker than historical standards, which is a bit of a problem. Like Odessa wasn't supposed to fall till October the 15th, but hey ho. And these guys aren't supposed to fall to the August the 12th, so we've got to turn this into a meat grinder to the Romanians. That's why I don't want to do too much of an early withdrawal now, because if I do too much of an early withdrawal, then what's going to happen is we're not going to be able to meat grind. So the reason why I look at the historical factors is the reason I look at the historical losses is that if I can go over the historical focuses, that means the Germans are fighting even worse than historical standards. That means if they're fighting even worse than historical standards, that means that when it gets to the winter time or it gets further on in the campaign, they're not going to have the resources or the logistics to pose a greater threat. However, if they are pushing too early, that means they're going to potentially have better supplies and better logistics and better men for the next couple of years, or are not doing enough, and it's going to be harder to counterattack when it gets to my turn because I haven't done enough damage to their units. So that is why we're using historical timelines to sort of not to fight to the last, but just to get a bearing on, well, how are we doing at disrupting the German timetable? If we disrupt the German timetable even more than it was disrupted in the real war, then because it's quite a historical, quite a historically realistic simulation, that means that when it gets to October or the November, December time, this will mean there'll be even more worse for wear, and the damage will be more exaggerated. Anyway, at least that's my copium. Let's save the game. Blah. And we'll go from there. Still, I want more troops. Why won't the Russians High Command give me more troops? Like, they're giving me HQs. Great stuff. Love HQs. But I would prefer something a bit more substantial, maybe a few more mechanized, maybe a few more tank units, you know. That's a few bits and bobs. Oh, cool. Well, this is all automated, so I don't have to do any of this. But yeah, you can manage the retreat of armor. I'm gonna need more land lease. I'm gonna need more resources. Anyway, I'm gonna go for a smoke break, and then I'm gonna play a bit of Easy Red 2 again, and then I'm gonna finish for the day. So boys and girls, oh, spare rifle division, yay. Thank you all for watching. I'm gonna end the stream and restart it, and then we'll just do some casual gameplay. But adieu and good luck.